This training is provided by SafeShield. We're a professional training provider that specializes in cybersecurity, compliance, risk management, and AI governance. Our goal is to give professionals the knowledge and skills required to advance their careers and get ahead of the competition. This free course is part of that goal. We want to make trusted, high-quality education accessible and to support the development of responsible practices in new and emerging fields such as AI governance. Welcome to AI Governance Foundations. As you're probably already aware, artificial intelligence is rapidly becoming a core part of our lives, influencing industries, shaping decisions, and reaching into almost every aspect of our days. But, as the saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. Deployed without oversight, AI can introduce bias, violate privacy, or even erode public trust in organizations and institutions. This is where governance becomes essential. AI governance ensures that systems are not only effective, but also safe, ethical, and aligned with broader social expectations. Over the next hour, our goal is to build your foundation in AI governance. By the end of the course, you should be able to clearly define what governance means in the context of AI, explain why it matters, and identify the core principles that guide it: accountability, transparency, fairness, and privacy. You'll also be introduced to the most important global frameworks that are helping to shape the way we implement AI. These include ISO 42001, the NIST AI Risk Management Framework, the EU AI Act, the OECD Principles, and UNESCO's Ethics Guidelines. We'll walk through the AI lifecycle, from design and development to deployment, monitoring, and even system retirement. Along the way, we'll discuss risk management, roles and responsibilities, policies and procedures, and the importance of auditing and monitoring. Finally, we'll connect AI governance to broader corporate governance and compliance requirements. We'll address the common challenges that organizations face, highlight emerging trends that are shaping the future, and explore real-world case studies that bring these issues to life. By the end of this course, you'll have the knowledge and tools to understand AI governance as a practical framework for guiding real-world decisions. And most importantly, you will understand how governance enables organizations to build trust while protecting people, values, and society at large. So let's begin. AI governance refers to the structures, frameworks, and practices that guide how artificial intelligence systems are designed, developed, deployed, and monitored. AI governance is about balance. Balance between the desire to innovate and the need to safeguard against potential harm. This involves establishing policies that define acceptable practices, assigning responsibilities to stakeholders, and creating mechanisms for accountability. At its core, governance provides a systematic approach to ensuring AI technologies operate responsibly. It aligns systems with ethical values, legal requirements, and organizational objectives. Without governance, AI adoption risks becoming fragmented, inconsistent, and dangerous. Unchecked systems can reinforce bias, violate privacy, or cause safety issues. Governance is not about stifling progress, but about enabling trust, which is essential for widespread acceptance of AI. By setting standards for transparency, fairness, and accountability, governance provides organizations with a roadmap to create systems that are both functional and ethically aligned. This structured oversight ensures that stakeholders, from developers to executives and regulators, understand their roles and responsibilities. In this way, governance turns abstract principles into practical obligations that can be measured, monitored, and improved over time. The importance of AI governance stems from both the opportunities and the risks that artificial intelligence presents. On one hand, AI can drive efficiency, enable new capabilities, and create competitive advantage. On the other hand, it can also introduce significant challenges such as discrimination, lack of accountability, security vulnerabilities, and the erosion of public trust. Without governance, these risks can quickly outweigh the benefits. For example, a biased algorithm may lead to discriminatory hiring practices. A failure to protect data can result in privacy violations and regulatory fines. Opaque decision-making processes can undermine customer confidence and damage reputations. Governance provides safeguard against these risks. It helps organizations align their use of AI with legal requirements, such as data protection regulations, and with ethical values, such as fairness and respect for human rights. From a business perspective, governance builds stakeholder trust. Customers, investors, and regulators are far more likely to support companies that demonstrate responsible AI practices. Governance also enables resilience by anticipating risks before they escalate into crises. Most importantly, governance bridges the gap between technological capability and societal expectation. It ensures that AI systems do not simply function effectively, but that they do so in a way that is sustainable, lawful, and beneficial to all stakeholders. AI governance is underpinned by a set of guiding principles that translate ethical ideals into practical requirements. First, accountability ensures that there is always a clear chain of responsibility for AI decisions and outcomes. Second, transparency and explainability mandate that AI systems should be understandable, allowing stakeholders to know how and why decisions are made. Third, fairness and non-discrimination emphasize that AI must not reinforce or create harmful biases, ensuring equitable outcomes for all groups. Fourth, privacy and data protection highlight the importance of safeguarding personal data throughout the AI lifecycle. Fifth, safety, security, and resilience require that systems are designed to prevent harm, withstand attacks, and recover from failures. Finally, alignment with societal and organizational values ensures that AI development and use reflect ethical norms and strategic goals. Together, these principles form the backbone of AI governance frameworks worldwide. They are not isolated. Rather, they overlap and reinforce each other, creating a holistic approach to responsible AI management. For example, transparency supports accountability, and fairness is inseparable from privacy protections. Organizations that adopt and integrate these principles signal a commitment to building trustworthy systems. And because technology, regulation, and society continue to evolve, these principles must also evolve, adapting to new contexts and new risks. The concept of trustworthy AI lies at the heart of AI governance. Trust is essential for adoption, and it can only be earned when systems consistently demonstrate ethical integrity. Ethical foundations provide the framework through which organizations operationalize concepts such as fairness, respect, and accountability. Trustworthy AI is built on three dimensions: technical robustness, ethical alignment, and compliance with legal frameworks. Technical robustness ensures that AI systems function reliably under diverse conditions, minimizing errors and vulnerabilities. Ethical alignment addresses broader societal values, requiring developers to avoid biases, respect privacy, and ensure equitable treatment. Legal compliance ensures adherence to existing laws and regulations, such as data protection rules or sector-specific requirements. A trustworthy AI system should also embody human-centric values, ensuring that human oversight is preserved in critical decisions. This principle guards against over-reliance on automated systems and reinforces the idea that AI serves human goals rather than replacing them. Ethical foundations extend beyond compliance by asking, is this system beneficial, respectful, and aligned with human rights? By embedding these questions into governance structures, organizations prevent harmful applications while building systems that inspire confidence. Trustworthy AI is a practical necessity. Customers, employees, regulators, and the public demand it as a condition for acceptance. Companies that prioritize ethical foundations not only reduce risks, but also strengthen their reputations and gain a long-term competitive advantage in markets where trust is a decisive factor for success. Accountability is a cornerstone of AI governance. It ensures that organizations can identify who is responsible for outcomes produced by AI systems. This is particularly challenging because AI often functions as a black box, making it difficult to determine responsibility when something goes wrong. Governance addresses this by inserting accountability into every stage of the AI lifecycle. Developers must document design choices, test for bias, and maintain audit trails of data and models. As for organizations, they must designate roles such as governance officers, risk committees, or cross-functional committees that oversee compliance. And external stakeholders, such as regulators, customers, and affected individuals, must have channels to raise concerns and seek redress. Accountability is both reactive and proactive. It is about taking responsibility when errors occur, but also about preventing harm through audits, monitoring, and continuous oversight. An effective accountability framework includes clear documentation, transparent reporting structures, and escalation procedures for addressing incidents. A key element is traceability, the ability to explain decisions and link them back to human oversight. For example, if a loan application is denied by an AI system, the organization must be able to explain the decision criteria and the governance structures that allowed the system's deployment. Ultimately, accountability provides the foundation for trust. It demonstrates that organizations are prepared to take responsibility for the consequences of their AI systems. Transparency and explainability are essential for making AI systems understandable. Transparency means providing sufficient information about how systems function, including details about training data, algorithms, and decision-making processes. Explainability goes a step further, enabling users to grasp how specific outcomes are generated. This matters because many AI systems, particularly deep learning models, are inherently complex and difficult to interpret. Without explainability, organizations risk losing trust, facing regulatory challenges, or deploying systems whose decisions cannot be justified. To implement transparency, organizations can adopt measures such as publishing model cards, providing documentation about datasets, and disclosing limitations or known risks. Explainability involves using tools and techniques like feature attribution methods, visualization tools, or simplified surrogate models that make AI decisions interpretable to non-technical stakeholders. Transparency isn't about revealing trade secrets, but about ensuring accountability and fairness. For example, customers applying for credit must understand why they were denied. Regulators need insight into compliance processes, and internal teams require clarity to maintain systems responsibly. Transparency also supports continuous improvement. When stakeholders can understand how systems operate, they can identify flaws, suggest corrections, and support better outcomes. However, governance must balance transparency with security and intellectual property concerns, disclosing enough to build trust without exposing vulnerabilities. In this way, transparency and explainability transform AI from a black box into a system that is accountable, trustworthy, and socially acceptable. Fairness and non-discrimination are central to AI governance because AI systems often reflect the biases that exist in the data used to train them. Biased algorithms can lead to unjust outcomes in areas such as hiring, lending, healthcare, and criminal justice. Governance frameworks require organizations to address fairness throughout the AI lifecycle. That begins with the data. Organizations must ensure datasets are representative, balanced, and free of systemic biases. During development, fairness requires applying techniques to test for disparate impacts, such as fairness metrics and bias detection tools. At deployment, governance requires continuous monitoring to detect emerging patterns of discrimination and take corrective action. Non-discrimination also involves setting organizational policies that explicitly prohibit bias practices and require fairness audits before AI systems are put into production. In practice, fairness is not always about identical treatment. It can mean equity, ensuring that outcomes do not disadvantage vulnerable groups. For instance, an AI-powered hiring tool may need to adjust for historical imbalances in data to provide fair opportunities to underrepresented applicants. Governance frameworks like the EU AI Act and ISO 42001. Emphasize fairness as a fundamental requirement, making it a legal and compliance issue as much as an ethical one. By embedding fairness and non-discrimination into governance, organizations reduce legal risks, protect their reputation, and build trust with customers and employees. They communicate a commitment to building AI systems that contribute to a more just and inclusive society. Privacy and data protection are critical pillars of AI governance, given that many AI systems rely on large volumes of personal data. Improper handling of data can result in privacy violations, regulatory fines, and serious reputational damage. Governance frameworks mandate that AI systems must comply with data protection laws, such as the EU's General Data Protection Regulation or similar regional regulations. Privacy governance begins with data minimization, collecting only what is necessary, and continues with secure storage, access controls, and anonymization techniques. AI systems should integrate privacy by design, embedding protective measures into every stage of the life cycle. Consent management is another key element. Individuals must have a clear understanding of how their data is used, and organizations must respect rights such as access, correction, or deletion of data. Moreover, data protection is not limited to compliance. It is a trust-building practice. Customers are more likely to engage with organizations that transparently communicate their privacy safeguards. Privacy risks are also evolving, extending into emerging risks such as data leakage, model inversion attacks, and re-identification of anonymized data. Governance requires regular audits, privacy impact assessments, and continuous monitoring to ensure evolving risks are addressed. Importantly, data protection must align with fairness and accountability. For example, anonymization should not compromise the ability to detect bias. Strong privacy and data protection practices show that organizations take individual rights seriously. They build trust with customers and partners, and they ensure that AI adoption remains both sustainable and socially acceptable. Safety, security, and resilience are essential dimensions of AI governance because they address the technical reliability and risk profile of AI systems. Safety means preventing AI from causing harm to people, property, or the environment. This means ensuring that systems operate within defined boundaries, avoid unintended actions, and function correctly under expected conditions. Security involves protecting AI systems against malicious attacks, such as adversarial inputs, model poisoning, or data manipulation. Resilience refers to the capacity of AI systems to withstand disruptions and recover quickly, whether caused by cyber attacks, system failures, or unexpected changes in input data. Governance frameworks require organizations to conduct thorough risk assessments, implement security by design practices, and establish robust testing protocols before deployment. Safety measures may include fail-safes, human-in-the-loop mechanisms, and simulations of extreme scenarios. Security controls involve encryption, access restrictions, and continuous monitoring to detect anomalies. Resilience demands redundancy, recovery plans, and periodic stress testing. Importantly, safety, security, and resilience are interconnected. A system cannot be considered safe if it is vulnerable to attacks, and it cannot be resilient without proactive security measures. Global frameworks like ISO 42001 and the NIST AI Risk Management Framework highlight safety, security, and resilience as critical governance requirements. By embedding them into governance, organizations protect users, comply with regulations, and build long-term trust. Ultimately, ensuring AI safety, security, and resilience is about compliance, as well as operational excellence and ethical responsibility. AI governance is most effective when it reflects the organization's core values, vision, and culture. Strong governance ensures that AI systems contribute to strategic objectives while reflecting ethical commitments. Alignment begins by defining the organization's values. For some, that may be fairness, inclusivity, and sustainability. For others, customer trust or innovation. These values must then be translated into concrete AI governance policies. For example, if an organization values sustainability, its AI governance might include guidelines for reducing energy consumption in model training. If inclusivity is a priority, fairness audits and diverse stakeholder engagement become central practices. Embedding values into governance also requires structures and processes. Cross-functional committees, including representatives from compliance, IT, HR, and business units, help ensure that values are applied consistently. Training and awareness programs ensure that staff understand both the organization's values and how they apply to AI development and deployment. Alignment strengthens accountability. When AI practices clearly reflect organizational values, it can be much easier to assess whether actions match commitments. Misalignment, on the other hand, can result in reputational damage and loss of trust. For example, an organization that claims to prioritize fairness but deploys biased algorithms faces credibility risks. Governance frameworks such as ISO 42001 encourage organizations to connect AI governance with broader management systems, ensuring coherence across business operations. Ultimately, aligning AI governance with organizational values ensures that AI becomes a strategic enabler, not just a technical tool. It fosters consistency, strengthens trust, and ensures AI systems contribute positively to both organizational goals and societal expectations. The global landscape of AI governance is evolving quickly, shaped by governments, international organizations, and industry bodies. This landscape is both diverse and convergent. Different regions are developing unique approaches. The European Union with the AI Act, Canada with the Artificial Intelligence and Data Act, Brazil with PL 2338/2023, and China with rules on generative AI and algorithmic transparency. At the same time, international organizations such as the OECD, UNESCO, and the G20 promote shared principles of fairness, transparency, and accountability. This signals a gradual convergence toward common standards, even if specific regulations differ. For organizations operating internationally, this diversity presents both challenges and opportunities. Compliance requires adapting to multiple jurisdictions, each with its own obligations. The opportunity lies in adopting governance practices that align with global principles, improving efficiency, and building credibility. Sector-specific regulations add another layer of complexity, especially in sectors like finance, healthcare, and critical infrastructure. To navigate this, organizations require governance systems that are both structured and flexible. Frameworks such as ISO 42001 and the NIST AI Risk Management Framework provide globally recognized baselines. They help organizations bridge regional differences while maintaining compliance. The global governance landscape will continue to change and evolve, driven by rapid AI advancements and growing societal expectations. Organizations that proactively align with emerging global norms will be best positioned to manage risks, build trust, and compete responsibly across international markets. ISO 42001 is the first international standard for an AI management system, providing organizations with a structured framework to ensure responsible AI development and use. Published in 2023, the standard extends the well-known ISO management system approach, familiar from ISO 9001 for quality and ISO 27001 for information security, into the field of artificial intelligence. ISO 42001 requires organizations to establish policies, processes, and governance structures that cover the entire AI lifecycle. Key elements include accountability, transparency, fairness, risk management, and alignment with legal and ethical requirements. Importantly, ISO 42001 is certifiable, meaning organizations can undergo independent audits to demonstrate compliance and build credibility with regulators, customers, and partners. The standard emphasizes continual improvement, requiring organizations to monitor, evaluate, and adapt their governance practices as technology and risks evolve. It also encourages integration with other management systems, such as information security or privacy, ensuring coherence across wider governance efforts. For multinational organizations, ISO 42001 provides a globally recognized baseline that supports compliance with diverse regulatory environments. Adoption of this standard signals a commitment to trustworthy AI and provides practical tools to operationalize principles like accountability and fairness. By embedding ISO 42001 into governance, organizations can move toward a structured, auditable, and internationally aligned system that fosters both innovation and trust. This is what makes ISO 42001 a cornerstone of modern AI governance efforts worldwide. The NIST AI Risk Management Framework, often referred to as the AI RMF, is a framework developed in the U.S. to help organizations manage the risks associated with AI. Released in 2023, it provides practical guidance for creating trustworthy AI systems. The framework is built around 4 core functions: govern, map, measure, and manage. The govern function focuses on establishing policies, roles, and responsibilities that embed accountability into AI projects. Map involves understanding the context, intended use, and potential impacts of AI systems. Measure emphasizes identifying and quantifying risks, such as bias or security vulnerabilities, through testing and evaluation. Manage requires organizations to take action to mitigate identified risks, including monitoring and corrective measures. The AI RMF is designed to be flexible, scalable, and adaptable across industries, making it suitable for organizations of all sizes. It also aligns with broader risk management practices, integrating with frameworks already used in cybersecurity and enterprise risk management. Importantly, the AI RMF complements regulatory efforts by providing a voluntary, non-binding tool that organizations can use to prepare for compliance with emerging laws. Adoption of the framework demonstrates a proactive approach to governance, helping organizations address ethical, legal, and reputational risks before they escalate. By applying the NIST AI Risk Management Framework, organizations can effectively manage risks while also building trust and establishing AI practices that are transparent, fair, and accountable. The framework has quickly become a global reference point, influencing AI governance strategies far beyond the United States. The EU AI Act is one of the most ambitious and comprehensive regulatory frameworks for artificial intelligence anywhere in the world. Proposed in 2021 and expected to take effect in the coming years, it applies a risk-based approach to AI governance. The Act categorizes AI systems into 4 risk levels: unacceptable risk, high risk, limited risk, and minimal risk. Unacceptable risk AI systems, such as social scoring or manipulative AI, are banned outright. High-risk systems, including AI used in critical infrastructure, employment, credit, or law enforcement, are subject to strict requirements such as risk assessments, transparency obligations, human oversight, and documentation. Limited-risk AI, such as chatbots, require specific transparency measures to inform users that they are interacting with a machine. Minimal-risk AI, like spam filters, faces no additional obligations. The EU AI Act aims to strike a balance between protecting fundamental rights and safeguarding society, while supporting innovation by setting clear, predictable rules. Compliance requires organizations to implement governance measures, conduct conformity assessments, and maintain records of compliance. Noncompliance carries significant penalties, with fines reaching up to 6% of annual global turnover. Importantly, the Act applies extraterritorially, meaning non-EU companies offering AI products or services within the EU must comply. For organizations, the Act provides both challenges and opportunities. While compliance requires investment in governance, it also creates a predictable legal environment that can enhance trust and market competitiveness. The EU AI Act is a landmark regulation that will shape global AI governance and set a precedent for other regions. The OECD AI principles, adopted in 2019, were the first intergovernmental standards for AI governance, endorsed by over 40 countries. These principles have since become a foundation for international cooperation on responsible AI. The framework lays out 5 core recommendations. First, AI should benefit people and the planet by driving inclusive growth, sustainable development, and well-being. Second, AI systems should be designed to respect the rule of law, human rights, democratic values, and diversity, ensuring fairness and transparency. Third, AI should be robust, secure, and safe throughout its life cycle, with risk assessment and management mechanisms in place. Fourth, organizations and individuals developing or deploying AI should be accountable for their systems and their outcomes. Fifth, governments should ensure a policy environment that fosters trustworthy AI. This includes investing in research, infrastructure, and education to build capacity. While non-binding, the OECD principles are incredibly influential. They underpin the G20 AI principles and shape many national strategies, extending their reach globally. For organizations, they serve as a high-level guide to responsible AI practices, complementing more detailed standards like ISO 42001 or the NIST AI Risk Management Framework. They highlight the importance of balancing innovation with safeguards and encourage collaboration between governments, industry, and civil society. The OECD AI principles remain a foundational reference point for shaping trustworthy and human-centric AI worldwide. In 2021, nearly 200 countries adopted UNESCO's recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence, the first global standard-setting instrument focused entirely on AI ethics. This framework emphasizes human dignity, human rights, and environmental sustainability as guiding values. It calls for fairness, non-discrimination, transparency, accountability, and the human oversight of AI in important decisions. What makes UNESCO's framework stand out is its attention to issues often underrepresented in other frameworks. It highlights cultural diversity, gender equality, and the environmental impacts of AI. It also stresses the importance of closing digital divides, ensuring that AI narrows inequality rather than deepening it. The recommendation urges governments to act by creating regulations and policies, conduct impact assessments, invest in digital literacy, and build the institutional capacity to govern AI responsibly. For organizations, the framework provides a broad ethical lens to complement technical and legal standards. It encourages inclusive participation, meaning diverse voices should be involved in designing and deploying AI. It also promotes global solidarity, reminding us that AI should narrow digital divides rather than widen them, and that its impact reaches across borders and requires international cooperation. While not legally binding, the UNESCO framework carries significant moral and political weight. Aligning with it demonstrates a commitment to ethical leadership on a global scale. The framework reinforces the idea that AI governance is inseparable from broader societal values and sustainable development goals. AI governance must be applied across the entire life cycle of an AI system, from conception to retirement. Each stage presents unique risks and responsibilities. During the design phase, governance requires defining objectives, conducting impact assessments, and aligning with organizational values. In the development stage, focus shifts to data governance, bias testing, and documentation of design decisions. The deployment phase emphasizes transparency, user communication, and ensuring human oversight for critical applications. Once systems are in operation, governance ensures continuous monitoring, auditing, and risk management, as well as incident reporting when issues arise. Finally, in the decommissioning phase, governance ensures responsible disposal, including secure deletion of data, revocation of access rights, and documentation of lessons learned. This lifecycle approach ensures that governance is not a one-time exercise, but an ongoing process. It also aligns with international standards like ISO 42001, which emphasize continual improvement. Organizations that adopt a life cycle approach can better anticipate risks, maintain accountability, and adapt to changing regulatory or ethical expectations. By embedding governance throughout the AI lifecycle, organizations ensure systems remain trustworthy and compliant at every stage. This holistic approach enables organizations to balance innovation with safeguards and create AI systems that can evolve responsibly over time without losing alignment with societal and organizational values. Risk management is central to AI governance because it provides a structured way to identify, assess, and mitigate risks that arise from AI systems. AI introduces unique risks such as bias, lack of transparency, adversarial attacks, and unintended consequences from model behavior. Governance frameworks like ISO 42001 and the NIST AI Risk Management Framework integrate risk management as a core function. The process begins with risk identification, including technical, ethical, legal, and reputational risks. Next, risk assessment evaluates the likelihood and impact of each risk. Risk mitigation involves selecting appropriate controls, such as fairness testing, human-in-the-loop mechanisms, or security safeguards. Continuous risk monitoring ensures that new risks are detected as systems evolve. Importantly, risk management must include the perspective of stakeholders. Risks that may seem minor technically could have significant ethical or social implications. For example, a recommendation system that subtly reinforces stereotypes may erode public trust even if it meets accuracy thresholds. Governance ensures that organizations establish risk registers, document treatment plans, and define clear ownership of risk responsibilities. By applying structured risk management, organizations not only comply with regulations but also enhance resilience and adaptability. Risk management turns uncertainty into something manageable, enabling organizations to innovate responsibly while protecting those that could be affected by AI. Effective AI governance relies on clarity. Everyone involved must be clear on their roles and responsibilities. Without defined accountability, organizations risk gaps, overlap, or conflicts in oversight. Governance structures typically include executive leadership, which provide the direction and resources that make governance possible, compliance and legal teams, which interpret regulations and align governance with legal obligations, AI governance officers or committees, which oversee day-to-day governance activities, and technical teams, which ensure design and deployment comply with governance requirements. Other departments also play a role. HR departments are responsible for building awareness and competence, while risk management teams ensure integration with wider organizational risk frameworks. External stakeholders such as regulators, customers, and impacted individuals are also important and must be provided clear mechanisms channels for feedback and redress. Roles need to be formalized through policies, job descriptions, and governance charters. This avoids accountability gaps and ensures a chain of responsibility across the AI lifecycle. For example, when a system produces an adverse outcome, governance structures must make it clear who investigates, who communicates findings, and who implements corrective actions. International standards reinforce this. ISO 42001 requires defined roles and leadership commitment, while the NIST AI Risk Management Framework emphasizes accountability as a core function. By clearly defining roles and responsibilities, organizations make accountability concrete and actionable, which, in turn, turns governance into something actionable. Policies and procedures are the backbone of AI governance. They translate high-level commitments into practical actions that employees can follow consistently. Policies establish organizational commitments. For example, a policy might require fairness audits, privacy impact assessments, or prohibit certain high-risk AI applications without executive approval. Procedures provide step-by-step instructions to implement these commitments, such as how to conduct a model validation, document data sources, or escalate incidents. Together, they create a consistent framework that guide behavior, ensuring compliance. Governance policies should be aligned with organizational values, regulatory requirements, and international standards like ISO 42001. For example, a policy on transparency may require all AI systems to have documentation explaining their functionality, while procedures detail the templates, review cycles, and approval processes. Effective policies also address enforcement, defining consequences for noncompliance and ensuring audits verify adherence. Importantly, policies and procedures must be living documents. They require regular updates to keep up with evolving technology, regulations, and risks. Training and awareness programs ensure that staff understand and apply them consistently. When properly implemented, policies and procedures provide regulators and stakeholders with evidence of responsible governance. They make ethical goals tangible, repeatable, and auditable. Ultimately, strong policies and procedures embed governance into everyday work, ensuring that AI systems are trustworthy, compliant, and aligned with organizational and societal values. Auditing and monitoring are essential governance mechanisms that ensure the long-term compliance, fairness, and effectiveness of AI systems. Unlike traditional software, AI systems evolve as data and environments change, which means oversight must be continuous. Auditing involves systematic, independent evaluations of AI systems for compliance with policies, standards, and regulations. This can include checking the quality of data, reviewing fairness and transparency metrics, and verifying security safeguards. Audits may be internal or external, and certifications such as ISO 42001 provide structured audit frameworks. Then we have monitoring. In contrast to auditing, monitoring refers to ongoing oversight in real time during AI operations. Monitoring often relies on automated tools that track system performance, detect anomalies, and flag potential risks like bias drift or security incidents. Monitoring relies on clearly defined metrics, thresholds, and escalation procedures. For example, if a model's error rate rises above acceptable limits or fairness indicators decline, corrective actions must be triggered. Together, auditing and monitoring reinforce accountability by providing evidence that governance commitments are being upheld. They also allow for continual improvement, as findings can be used to refine policies and processes. Most importantly, auditing and monitoring ensure that governance is an ongoing responsibility. They give organizations confidence to innovate while demonstrating to regulators, customers, and society as a whole that AI systems are managed responsibly and transparently. No matter how carefully designed they are, AI systems will occasionally fail. What makes the difference between a trustworthy and untrustworthy organization is the way they respond to these failures. Incident management provides a structured process that allows organizations to addressing failures, errors, or ethical breaches in AI quickly and effectively. These incidents may include biased decisions, privacy violations, system breakdowns, or security breaches caused by adversarial attacks. A strong response plan includes 4 stages. Identification. This involves the use of monitoring tools and reporting channels that detect problems. Containment requires immediate action, which may involve disabling a faulty model or restricting access to compromised systems. Remediation, which focuses on investigating root causes, implementing correction actions, and making updates and corrections to prevent recurring problems. And finally, communication ensures that stakeholders, such as regulators, affected individuals, or the public are informed in a timely and transparent manner. In many cases, laws such as data protection regulations may require mandatory reporting of breaches. Transparent incident management also builds trust by showing stakeholders that the organization takes responsibility seriously. Importantly, lessons learned from incidents must feed back into the wider governance framework. For example, if a hiring algorithm produces biased outcomes, the organization must not only correct the system, but also revisit its data sourcing, testing protocols, and oversight mechanisms. Incident management acknowledges an understanding that problems will arise. But when they do, organizations have the systems in place to respond quickly, minimize harm, and learn from past mistakes. AI governance should not operate in isolation. It must be integrated into broader corporate governance structures, which define how organizations are directed, managed, and held accountable. AI governance adds a new layer to this by focusing on the responsible use of AI within these structures. Boards of directors and executive leadership must be engaged in AI governance. They should set the policies, approve high-risk projects, and oversee compliance. Risk committees should evaluate AI risks alongside financial, operational, and cybersecurity risks. Internal audit functions must include AI governance in their scope. Integration also ensures consistency. Policies on fairness, transparency, and privacy must align with corporate values and existing governance systems. For example, AI ethics committees should coordinate with data protection officers and compliance departments. Embedding AI governance into corporate governance creates synergies, avoiding duplication and ensuring accountability across the organization. It also signals to external stakeholders that AI is being managed responsibly at the highest levels. International frameworks reinforce this approach. ISO 42001 encourages alignment with other management systems, while the OECD AI principles emphasize the role of government and corporate leadership. Ultimately, integrating AI governance into corporate governance ensures that responsible AI becomes part of organizational culture, strategy, and accountability, strengthening resilience and building trust, along with long-term sustainability. AI governance is closely linked to compliance obligations, as regulations increasingly require organizations to implement structured oversight of AI. Laws such as the EU AI Act, GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, Canada's Artificial Intelligence and Data Act, and sector-specific regulations in finance and healthcare mandate governance measures to ensure safety, fairness, and accountability. Compliance obligations may include conducting risk assessments, maintaining documentation, enabling transparency, and ensuring human oversight. Failure to comply can result in significant fines, reputational damage, and loss of market access. Governance provides the structures needed to translate regulatory requirements into everyday practice. For example, a policy requiring fairness audits helps demonstrate compliance with anti-discrimination laws. Incident management processes support breach notification requirements. Documentation and monitoring provide evidence for audits and regulatory inspections. Compliance also extends beyond legal obligations. Industry standards, customer expectations, and ethical commitments form part of the compliance landscape. Organizations that adopt international standards like ISO 42001 can demonstrate compliance across multiple jurisdictions, streamlining obligations. Importantly, compliance should not be seen as a burden, but as an enabler of trust and competitiveness. Customers and partners increasingly prefer to work with organizations that demonstrate responsible AI practices. By embedding compliance into governance, organizations reduce risks, improve efficiency, and strengthen their reputation. Compliance obligations thus serve as both a driver and outcome of AI governance, reinforcing the need for structured, accountable, and transparent practices throughout the AI lifecycle. Implementing AI governance is complex, and organizations face multiple challenges. One major challenge is lack of clarity. Regulations and standards are still evolving, creating uncertainty about requirements. Another is technical complexity. AI systems can be difficult to interpret, making transparency and accountability hard to achieve. Resource constraints are also common. Smaller organizations may lack expertise, funding, or tools to implement governance effectively. Cultural resistance can pose barriers, as teams may view governance as slowing innovation. Bias and fairness remain difficult to measure and mitigate, especially in complex models. Additionally, global diversity in regulations means multinational organizations must adapt to multiple frameworks simultaneously. Governance also requires cross-functional collaboration, which can be challenging in organizations with siloed structures. Overcoming these challenges requires leadership commitment, investment in training, and adoption of standardized frameworks like ISO 42001 or the NIST AI Risk Management Framework. Technology solutions, such as AI monitoring tools and explainability techniques, can help address technical challenges. Building a culture of responsible AI requires awareness programs, stakeholder engagement, and incentives for compliance. Ultimately, challenges in implementing governance are not insurmountable. They reflect the novelty and complexity of AI. Organizations that proactively address these challenges gain a massive competitive advantage over slower moving competitors. AI governance is constantly evolving, shaped by emerging trends and new regulations. One of these trends is the shift from voluntary guidelines to more binding regulation, like the EU AI Act. Another is the adoption of AI assurance technologies, such as automated monitoring tools, bias detection software, and explainability platforms. These technologies make governance more scalable and effective. Global harmonization efforts are also gaining significant momentum, with bodies like the OECD and UNESCO working to align governance principles across jurisdictions. There is also growing focus on environmental sustainability, with frameworks calling for reduced energy consumption and carbon footprints in AI development. There has been a rise in sector-specific governance, with specific requirements for healthcare, finance, and critical infrastructure. Within organizations, AI ethics committees are becoming more common, providing cross-functional oversight. Finally, public and stakeholder engagement is becoming more prominent, as organizations seek to build legitimacy by involving affected communities in governance processes. These trends reflect a maturing field, one where AI governance is an expected part of responsible innovation. Governance should evolve alongside technology and societal expectations. By embracing these trends, organizations can future-proof their AI practices and position themselves as leaders in responsible and sustainable AI adoption. To see how AI governance works in practice, let's look at a real-world example. Imagine a multinational bank deploying an AI-powered credit scoring system. Without governance, this system carries significant risks, unfairly denying loans, violating privacy rules, or exposing the bank to regulatory penalties. Governance begins with a risk assessment, identifying fairness, transparency, and data protection as key concerns. From there, the bank establishes clear policies, such as mandatory fairness audits, thorough documentation of model design, and human oversight for high-impact decisions. Next come procedures. Data sourcing is guided by requirements for diversity and representativeness, reducing the risk of bias. During development, teams conduct bias testing and keep detailed records of training data. At the point of deployment, transparency measures are implemented. Customers receive understandable explanations for credit decisions, while regulators are provided with structured compliance reports. Once the system is up and running, continuous monitoring tracks for drift or emerging biases. If issues arise, corrective actions are taken immediately. An AI governance committee oversees this entire process, ensuring accountability across departments. In addition, strict incident management procedures are in place to handle failures, such as patterns of discriminatory outcomes appearing. By embedding governance at every stage, the bank avoids legal and reputational harm while simultaneously building customer trust. Customers perceive the credit scoring system as fair and transparent. Regulators recognize the bank as compliant and proactive. Internal teams benefit from clear guidance and direction. This case study demonstrates how governance transforms principles into actionable practices and can turn potential risks into opportunities, allowing governance to become an enabler for proper business practice. AI governance is essential for ensuring that artificial intelligence contributes positively to organizations and society. It provides the structures, principles, and processes needed to manage risks, demonstrate accountability, and build trust. Governance enables responsible innovation, ensures that AI systems are fair, transparent, safe, and aligned with human values. We have seen how international frameworks provide practical guidance. ISO 42001, the NIST AI Risk Management Framework, the EU AI Act, the OECD AI Principles, and UNESCO's Ethics Framework. These resources help organizations operationalize governance in concrete, measurable ways. The future of AI depends on the trust it earns from people and institutions. By prioritizing governance, organizations work to mitigate risks and facilitate the full potential of AI as a force for innovation, growth, and social good. Congratulations on completing the AI Governance Foundations course. Over the course of this program, we have explored the importance of AI governance, the principles that guide it, and the international frameworks that bring those principles into practice. You should now be familiar with how risk management, compliance, and accountability work together to ensure AI systems remain trustworthy, fair, and aligned with human values. This knowledge provides you with a strong foundation to aid you in the future, whether you apply it in your current role, pursue further study, or contribute to shaping responsible AI in your organization. By staying informed and engaged, you will play a vital role in ensuring AI develops in ways that are safe, ethical, and beneficial for society. Thank you for your time and your commitment to this learning journey. We encourage you to keep exploring and keep building toward a future where artificial intelligence serves the needs of humanity responsibly.